All right, so let's start lying down with the block under the sacrum. Well, I know maybe I'll face this way. I seem to lie on the block the other direction a lot. Not that it matters, there being no left and right here. All right, coming down onto the floor. Inhale and exhale, taking that moment or two, really enjoying that release of the weight of your body into the floor. Starting to let go of all those things we don't need for the next hour. And then there's the block underneath our legs, lifting up, sliding the block under the sacrum, and easing those legs out to straight. Maybe moving one leg at a time, whatever you need, no rush. And you can put your hands on the block near your waist and give a push there. Gently cooperating with the block, stretching yourself over. And if you like to keep pressing the block by your waist, you can do that. It's a good way to keep that lower back nice and long so that doesn't start to get a little achy here. Or you can bring the arms down alongside, palms into the floor. Do a little roll out with the upper arms. So we're putting the arms in the bridge pose position as well. And even though the block is doing the hard work, as it were, we are gently cooperating with the block, leaving lots of room for a nice big inhale and a long and easeful exhale. Checking for any tension in the face or the jaw as well, letting that go. Taking a few more breaths here, maybe a little bit more active, reach through the legs and draw up through the abdominal muscles. And then bending the knees, lifting up off the block, taking the block out, rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae. And then getting our block back again, putting it between the knees. At whatever width is going to make those knees about hip distance apart. So we'll be coming up in the bridge pose in a moment. And then give that block a good squeeze. Inhale and exhale. Using that exhale to reiterate the squeeze of the block, that drawing into the center. And then we will come up in the bridge pose, rolling up, maybe using the interlocked fingers underneath there, pressing down into the feet. So you want to feel the whole foot on the floor. And then inhale, make more space, and exhale, not only lifting into the space, but holding that block a little tighter. Inhale and exhale. All right, let's roll slowly down. Landing on the floor with great relief. Perhaps we will take that block out. And then making those feet wide on the mat at the edges of the mat, or if you're a taller person, maybe just off the edges of the mat. We'll bring the arms out to the side. So we're doing the windshield wipers. So this is not the same as when we keep our knees more together as we drop those legs over to the right. So your left knee should not end up touching your right leg. There should be enough distance there. And it's a little less twist through the spine, a little less stretch on the outer left hip, maybe, but maybe not, than when we have our legs more stacked one on top of the other. Here we're working a little more deeply into the hip joints with an inner rotation and an outer rotation. And then rolling through the center, over to the left. Now the right leg is rotating in, the right thigh bone, and the left thigh bone is rotating out. Taking a few breaths here. And then we'll roll back knees to the right, just noticing where you're feeling things. Might be more of the right inner thigh, might be the left outer hip, might be a little bit more down the front of the left hip. And rolling through the center, over to the left. And then we'll go back and forth a few times up to the center. And then inhale, legs to the side. Exhale, rolling through the center. Inhale over to the side. Exhale, drawing into the center. Let's do 2 more sets. Or more if you feel like it. And then we'll all finish back onto our back. Just take a moment, letting go of anything, any tension or resistance you might have picked up along the way that you can let go of again. And then we will make our way up to sitting. And sitting in Sukhasana with the crossed legs. So let's see, let's all put our right leg in front, or just being aware that you didn't put your right leg in front. And using those arms alongside, lengthening up, getting a little space between the vertebrae here on the vertical plane. Slowly releasing with the arms, letting the hands rest on the knees. Inhale and exhale up the center line, pouring down the sides. And then let's do that big yawn with our arms. Inhale and exhale, breathing the arms up. Inhale and exhale, breathing them down. 3 more times. Feeling into whatever body part seems to need a little more feeling into this morning. Maybe it's a little bit of lift through the core, a little more in the shoulder blades, a little more pressed down with the outer knees. Oh, let's do the arms up and down once more. And then we'll go out to the giant bug position, kind of the same thing we had lying down. Taking those arms inside, giving a lift up. And then bringing the legs in more hip distance apart. We're going to do the sitting figure 4. So we will cross the right leg over. And then we'll all bring our arms behind, whatever's a good spot. And then press forward and up with the upper chest, pressing away with the right outer knee. And then either staying here, or if you can, bringing the arms through the right leg, holding on across the left shin or behind the thigh, and pulling a little bit more forward and over. And coming up, and we will switch legs, crossing the left leg over, and taking those arms behind, lifting up, and then pressing up and forward, lifting with the upper chest, pressing that left outer knee away. And then maybe staying there with the arms if that seems like the better option, or bringing that left arm through the triangle, holding on across the right knee or behind the thigh, lifting up and then maybe a little forward and over. And coming up, we'll set that down, and then we will reverse tabletop. So why don't we get our block again, putting that block between the knees. All right, holding on to the block, feeling the feet on the floor, hands behind. And like we did in the bridge pose, on every exhale, we'll reiterate that squeezing of the block, that drawing into the center line. Remember, coming down when you need to. As we press into the feet into the floor, scoop the tailbone up, rolling up. Inhale and exhale. A little stronger into the center. So we've got the block to squeeze, but generalize that idea. Upper arms draw in, side ribs draw in. And then coming down. Peeling those hands up off the floor. We'll take the block out. We'll cross the left leg in front. And coming forward and over. Inhaling and exhaling, breathing across the back of the body. And then coming up, unfurling the spine. Let's take those legs out to Konasana, the angle pose. Nice big yawn along the backs of the legs. Lift up from behind. Now we're not squeezing the block, just the opposite. And a little coming forward, or maybe a lot of coming forward. Breathing into your body where it is at this moment. And then coming up to sitting again. And we will side bend, bringing the right arm up. So I'm going to be the mirror here. Right arm coming up, reach for the ceiling, and then over to the left, any amount. We anchor that right sitting bone down, reach through the right heel. And calming up. And let's go to the left. Reaching through the left arm, reaching up to the ceiling, lots of space, and then as much side bend as there is. Sometimes our side bend, especially I find in this position, likes to stay more vertical. And feeling that oppositional grounding and pulling through the left leg. And coming back up. And then let's bring those legs in and we will come up and downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And walking the dog or anything else you want to do. And then finishing up with whatever you're doing, finding the best downward facing dog of this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. And coming forward to the plank. And we'll vinyasa ourselves onto the floor, onto our belly. So Start bending the elbows in chaturanga, resisting with the core. Maybe the knees come down. Continue easing yourself toward the floor, or maybe you're already there. And then coming up in the small cobra, or maybe you want to push up into an upward facing dog suspended for a couple breaths. And then we're all down here on the floor on our belly. Let's bring the hands back and interlock the fingers, rolling the shoulders out. Take a few moments really feeling the arms, flexing the wrist, a nice wrist counter stretch there, squeezing the upper arms, widening the collarbones, and then we'll lengthen to lift, not fretting about how high you lift. Stretching over an imaginary block on your sacrum, as if we're lying on the ceiling. Calming down. And then we'll bring the arms forward into the Sphinx, pulling back with the elbows, pulling back with the hands. Taking a few breaths here. You have more space, maybe the elbows lift a little. And then calming down. And let's go back to that Salabhasana, interlocking the fingers again. And we'll lengthen to left. This time we'll release the hands, palms face the ceiling. Calming down. Deep breath. And we will peel ourselves back to downward facing dog. Little cat cow rippling along the way. And downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here. And let's lift the right leg up, reaching long through the heel. Bending the knee, dog at the high fire hydrant. And then let's hover plank that right knee forward, holding that a moment. And then lifting the right leg back up, 3-legged dog. Really reach long through the right toes. And then through to the lunge. And we'll bring the left knee down and Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. And then bringing both arms down, we're going to side bend to the right, so maybe getting a block there by your right hand if you want. And left arm comes up and over toward our front leg. Big reach around with the left arm to come to Namaste in front. And then we'll step forward into the concave back, halfway up. Folding over, breathing here. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. I don't have a very big front body yawn today. My back is kind of stiff in this position. And around to Namaste. A big front body yawn or anything, it's always relative to what your body can do today. And here we are, Tadasana, the mountain pose, with Samasthiti, steadiness. And then coming over, big lift up, and diving over. Concave back, halfway up, rolling over, and then jumping or stepping back through the vinyasa, any version, downward facing dog. And then we'll go around on the left, lifting the left leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. And then hover plank, left knee forward. And back up to three-legged dog, really reaching with that right leg, left leg, so it's helping to pull you up. And through to the lunge. And we'll bring the right knee down, and Jayasana, kneeling lunge. And then bringing those arms down, maybe a block for your left hand there, as we side bend to the left, bringing the right arm up. And a big reach around to Namaste in front. And stepping forward into the concave, back halfway up. And folding over. Taking a couple breaths here. Coming up to standing, big front body yawn. And around to Namaste in front. And then coming back over. Big lift up. And diving over. And then let's come into Utkatasana, the chair pose. Bending the knees, sitting back. Pulling those sitting bones a little more down, lifting up with the upper. And then let's take the circle around with our arms here. Reaching up and around. And then reaching all the way forward and up. And releasing over. Making our way back to downward facing dog. Concave back, folding over. Vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. All right, let us lift our right leg up. and through to the lunge. Warrior number 1. Could be the high lunge if you would rather, but warrior number 1 will be the default. Feeling like that block is on the sacrum and you're stretched over the block, especially along that left side. And then we'll reach on along diagonal forward, anchoring that left leg back, and we'll swing the arms down, and we'll take a reverse circle, coming back up to the warrior 1. And then Namaste in front, and into the floor, and into the pigeon. Walking that right foot across, getting your block as needed underneath the right hip there. And taking a few breaths here in the cobra action, forward, up and over, almost like we're still in the warrior 1 along our left side. And then coming forward and over, sleeping pigeon. And coming up, and then we'll be going to the running deer. So we roll onto the right hip, let the left knee bend, and maybe depending, a block under that right knee, which I'm going to do. We're doing our best to get that left sitting bone toward the floor. So the left leg is maybe at about a 45-degree angle, might be more for you. We all kind of come out a little differently. And one way to think of this is just looking for a place where the thighs are kind of going evenly out from your center, noticing where's that center that you're facing. So I'm actually kind of a little diagonal rather than square here. That's where my hip bones are pointing. So I'm just going to think of kind of over here as my front. All right, then taking a few breaths, trying to reach the sitting bones down and lengthen up the sides of the body evenly. And then we'll twist to the left, toward the back leg. Inhale and exhale. And then back to the center, and we'll twist to the right toward the front leg. Try not to lean out to the right too much at the moment. Pulling that twist in and up and out the top of the head. And then we'll let it spiral down and around, walking the hands around to the right, so swirling around towards your left foot. So maybe you're up kind of high here on the hands, or you can come down on the forearms, whatever is available to you. And breathing here, inhaling and exhaling, swirling around. And coming back up, and we'll just roll those legs up into that giant bug position, reaching the arms inside, giving a pull forward and up. And then bring the legs in more parallel. And we will come up into the reverse tabletop again. So this time let's have an imaginary block there. And so feel like you're holding the block. So make sure though that those knees do stay hip distance apart. And then pressing the feet into the floor, lifting up, reverse tabletop. And coming down. Peeling those hands up off the floor, maybe a couple little circles with the wrists. And we will make our way up into a forward bend. Doesn't matter that much where we are on the mat right now. And breathing here. And then coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing those arms down around to Namaste in front, Samasthiti, steadiness. And then we can get ourselves so that we're at the front of the mat if we're not quite there. And coming over. Big lift up. And diving over. Concave back halfway up. Folding over through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And then we'll do that around on the left. Lifting the left leg up. And through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 1. And feeling that back bendiness, especially on the right side of the block. block is on the pelvis and we're stretching over that block. And then a long reach forward on the diagonal, getting steady there, really reaching back through that right foot. Don't let it detach. And then swinging the arms back and a circling up and around from behind, back up into the warrior one. And namaste in front, and into the floor, and into the pigeon. And then taking a few breaths in the cobra action. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And coming forward and over into the sleeping pigeon. And then coming up. And we'll roll on to the left hip bending the right leg into the running deer. Wow. All right, getting yourself situated on this side. Bring our two sides are not the same. And sort of finding your angle of the legs. Where's the front? Where are your hips facing? Maybe you can detect as I'm kind of squinging and mooching around over here that this is not my better side for flexibility in this shape. Ah, all right. Maybe you've got that block underneath the left leg. And then we'll just take a few breaths, doing our best to feel two long parallel sides. The sitting bones having an intention to rest evenly on the floor, even if that's not the reality yet. And then we will twist to the right toward the back leg. Inhale and exhale. And back to the center, twisting to the left toward the front leg. So try not to lean over to the left yet. Pulling in and up through the top of the head, a little pulling back toward the right feeling. And then we'll walk those hands down and around to the left, spiraling around toward the right foot. Just easing around as far as you can go. You hit that first edge, breathing there. You might have noticed on the first side that after a few breaths, you find you actually can go a lot lower, maybe even a little more swirling around. And coming up, back around to the center, and taking those legs up into the giant bug, reaching through, pulling forward and up. Ah. And once more into the reverse tabletop. Or if you're feeling you want to try the straight leg version, Purvottasana, you could do that. All right, so I think I will do that. But go ahead and do the reverse tabletop with the bent knees if you would rather. All right, so here we are, two long parallel legs, thinking of squeezing the block there. Press the feet or the heels into the floor, scooping up from underneath and lifting up, breathing here. And then coming down, peeling those hands up off the floor, maybe a little circling of the wrist. And we will come up into the forward bend. Oh. As you're ready, maybe like me, this little crouch is feeling good for the moment. All right, and there we are in our forward bend. And if you're not at the front of your mat, getting yourself to the front of the mat in your forward bend here. And then a little concave back, or maybe a big concave back. Making more space, folding over. And let's step back with the left leg. Coming up in the warrior number 2, the lateral lunge. Nice big stretch from that right knee out to left fingertips, pressing that right outer knee away like we're doing a figure 4 there. And dancing warrior, reaching up and over. And into the triangle Trikonasana. Being patient, easing your way over. You haven't done many shapes like this since that Konasana straddle at the beginning of class. So letting your body go into it as it can. And then coming back down to the lunge and stepping forward into the concave back, halfway up, holding over. Stepping back with the right leg, warrior 2 on the left. And feeling that reach from the right fingertips to the left knee. We'll press back with that outer left knee like it's in the figure 4. And then breathing that left arm up and side bending into the dancing warrior. And into the triangle Trikonasana. Being patient with your body, especially since we're right here at the end of class. So finding something easeful if you can in your triangle. Couple more breaths here. And then coming back down, stepping forward to the lunge. The lunge to the forward bend. There we go. Concave back. Holding over. Taking a breath here, lengthening the legs. And then bending the knees all the way down to the floor. And continuing, pouring yourself all the way down into the floor and into Shavasana. So, as often happens, the clock runs out of time before we want it to. So if you have more time, you can take a longer Shavasana. There we go. Inhale and exhale, we're going inside where we have a certain amount of ability to lengthen out time. Inhaling and exhaling. Every breath, letting go a little bit more.
Now we know why I really like
And then if you need to move on into your day, breathing back into your body, moving the fingers and toes, maybe circling the wrists and ankles.
Yeah. I think
Stretching the arms up overhead. Bending the knees and gently making your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with the long and spacious spine. And taking another moment or two, sitting quietly inside yourself. And namaste. Thank you for coming. Oh, where's the mouse? There it is.